lost the bet.
What's that?
Bet was you're going to be late. You're 2 minutes early.
I can leave.
Depends who wins the bet.
Yeah, how much is on the line?
Got quiet all of a sudden.
Ready for showtime.
You might need that.
Yeah.
Conversation the other day. We were right on that. Such a boondoggle from the beginning, you know. I mean, I'm glad it's being used and all that, don't get me wrong, but you did very well. in my opinion. Yeah. Believe it.
Well, it's 3 o'clock on a rainy October 28th afternoon, and so it's time for the Board of Library Trustees monthly meeting. Let me ask the secretary to call the roll.
Thank you. Ben,
Present.
Sharon,
Oh, did you say my name?
yes, I did.
I'm so sorry. I'm present.
Okay. That's funny. Martin,
Here.
Kent,
Present.
Jim, absent. Okay. Paul,
Present.
and myself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have a quorum. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as distributed.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
We are striking
We'll put on hold number 13.
number 13. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, making sure that was noted.
Yeah.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. And that passes. Let's group the approval of the minutes unless there are requests for exception. If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular session of the 23rd, the executive session of September 23rd, the minutes of the approval of claims of October 8th, minutes of Capital Project Committee executive session of the 20th of September, as well as the 29th of September. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor then signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Let's move to our financial report, David.
Thank you, Ben. In your packet are your financial reports. Nothing new to report on those. The lines are staying below their benchmark. As you can see from the graph, they're spending even below their historic trend, which is not surprising since March of 2020 with the COVID impact. All the curtailed services and things are impacting that spending, but no new lines going out of whack. I think that's going to be changing here. As you may have heard the announcement, we're going to be starting with the in-person programming. So I've seen just a swamp of requisitions for supplies coming through my office. So they're going to be speeding up, so we'll have spending back toward its normal thing. Really, the main thing is the budget today. We're going to be, we have on the proposal the resolution to approve the final budget. I'll talk about that more when we get in here, but this is to approve Form 4, which is the final part of that. And then tomorrow, assuming we approve it today, I will then submit it to Gateway and all the forms will be completed. And the only thing we'll have left to do there is wait for the DLGF to give us our final tax rates and budgets at the end of December. I think that is really the main items. You know, the Finance and Personnel Committee we have coming up on the 11th of November. That will be focusing on the compensation benefit package for 2022. Other than that, I don't have anything else really right now to report, but I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the financial report of September as distributed.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Sharon. Any discussion? All in favor then signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay, and that too passes. We have the approval of the claims. Anything special in the claims?
No, there's a large one with the OCLC WISE. That's our operating system for the library. We have our annual payment for that, so it's $200,000. That's the highest check this time around. And then just the materials and utility payments.
Okay, well, can I have a motion for the approval of the claims?
So moved.
Second?
I'll go second.
You'll go second?
Sure.
Gloria's second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. And the claims have been approved, and we'll sign them as we go. Now for the fun part of the meeting. Let me turn it over to Susan or Jim. Susan?
Susan, and then I will turn it over to James. So our staff training day was October 4th, and I hope some of you were able to tune in for a little bit of it, and you see the schedule of the day at your place setting. And about 2 months prior to staff training day, our staff let us know that the majority of them just would not feel comfortable in an in-person large group due to COVID. So we quickly and very successfully transitioned the event to a virtual hybrid event, thanks to the tremendous leadership of James and with fantastic support from our events team, you see them right here, and our IT team and our Access Fort Wayne team. We are receiving just incredible feedback from the staff. This is the first time that they have participated in such a large-scale virtual event, and we are finding out that it was very successful and very engaging. Some of the comments we received from the feedback survey include, it was very interactive and this is in all caps, not boring at all. I thought all the speakers were so interesting and passionate about their individual topics. I learned to have a better and more positive attitude when facing new challenges in life. I felt seen, affirmed, appreciated, cared for, and about. It made me feel stronger with my team and with my larger ACPL team. And James is the soul of ACPL, our Minister of Wellbeing and Support. Who else could have united hundreds of people at 15 different locations, made them feel a part of something larger, made them laugh? So I will turn it over to James to tell you a bit about the day and to show you a video that was part of our content.
Hello, everyone. Hello, you can hear me? We're good? All right, so I kind of have, yes, it's our costume day, and I'm wearing a sailor costume, but I have an, is it alternative motive? I really would like us to do South Pacific at the Civic again, so Ben, if you could just pass that information along. South Pacific.
Talk to Ezio Pinza.
Yeah, so staff day this year. My first time as the trainer last year was canceled. We had to plan it. We wanted the day to be full of development, full of growing, full of learning. But I just really wanted to give the staff a big hug. After we've all been through, it would just them to sit down in their branches. And though we were socially distanced, the people in the branches had the opportunity to watch together. So they got the meeting rooms out. Some had pajama days. They had pizza parties. We got photos throughout the whole day. And that they could still come together. We could laugh. There's a lot of laughing. And there was a lot of learning and growing and developing. And so I kind of went into this with the idea of coming together and giving the staff something. But what I learned about our organization, I've been so touched, and I'm so grateful. We have the most incredible employees here. We have the most, like, when people could stop and just be creative and could really focus on, sometimes there's so many things that, get in the way of creativity, but to give them that platform to say, hey, this is your time to shine, Access Fort Wayne, how do you guys want to spotlight this? We used a company called Brand Live to do our online website for the day, and they have done things with Condé Nast, Levi, they did all the Joe Biden campaign, and they took the time to pull us aside and said, the content the way that the day went was outstanding. They were left speechless. So I know we look a lot of the time outside, but when we look at how valuable our staff is on the inside and how hard everyone works and they can come together, we can do so much here. We can do the most amazing things because the passion and the drive that our staff have here, it warms my heart. But also, like, as a person who never worked in a public library before, I have such an appreciation for this institution. So that was really the heart of where, kind of our North Star. And the video you're about to see was I wanted to sit down, and we talked about sitting down with our staff and not just brushing over and that, yep, now we're going on to COVID. It was like COVID and one thing after another, but to look at how far we have come through this pandemic. Get to know our staff a little bit more from different departments, to sit down and to say, hey, a lot of the decisions were happening by the people in this room, but were executed by them. And they were the ones on the front lines. And to bring that to the heart, to say, hey, you're seen and your story matters. So this is just a small clip that represents the big heart and how brave our staff is. So I am so grateful, and I come to work literally dancing. And you could, if you're in the hall, Stephanie's like 2 doors down from me. She's smiling right now, literally dancing of joy of how lucky I am to be here. And so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and cue it up whenever you're ready.
I didn't see my kids for a while because that's what everybody said. Keep to your household. I saw them through my, door, my window for weeks and weeks. And I'm like, I can't go on like this.
Give it a nice snap. Oops, that wasn't very good.
There you go.
My name is Christine Diedrich. I am the Discovery Services Manager.
I am Tina Townsend, and I am the Supervisor for Environmental Services.
I'm Jill Knoll. I'm the Financial Services Manager.
My name is Malcolm Rogers. I work over at the Little Toro Library as an adult librarian.
My name is Nathaniel Stuck. I'm in the Security Department at the main library.
My name is Aaron Smith. I'm the Genealogy Materials Manager and have been here for
26 years.
9 years.
18 years.
Just over 3 years.
12 years now, I want to say.
14 years.
We grew up in Tower Heights across from St. Francis. We would go over to the Little Turtle branch. This is the one that I was always at. And when we were in school, we would come down to the main branch when we needed to do school projects and that sort of thing.
I remember when I was young, my parents got me a date due stamp so I could stamp my books. So I've always been a fan of the library. It's always been a comforting place for me since I was little all the way through college. And I've just always known that that's where I wanted to end up working.
And then during summers, I would actually explore my freedom by riding my bike around town, and that almost always involved taking my bike down to the library and then seeing maybe a dollar movie, going back to the library to read a bit more, see some of the comics, explore the internet for the first time. Those were largely my summers, so I did spend a lot more time at the library than I think I realized.
My father was a minor league pitcher, and that's the first thing I learned about were all the rules of baseball. But shortly after that came an interest in music and guitar lessons. And then following that, following my education in music, which took me through a master's level education, I began working in the university library, and that led to a library science degree.
I was in 29 Palms. I was finishing up communication school. I'm in the reserves and just looking for jobs for when I get back home. And I saw that the library was hiring for a security officer, and I didn't even think I would be getting the job. And then Alex from HR called me and offered me the job, and I was very happy to accept it.
Used to name it. So from 96, I was putting in an application for the library, and then finally in 2003, they hired me.
I first started in this position and in leadership. We were just about a week or so into adapting to our new library system of WISE, reconfiguring how the whole department worked, how material flowed through the department. Then shortly after that, we had a large number of retirements. So I had to go through the process of hiring for the first time. And then shortly after that, the pandemic hit.
I don't think I was kind of not that concerned. You know, I knew it was going around. I thought it's another virus like Ebola and all that other stuff. But when the library was shut down, I knew it's some serious business. So
None of us have ever worked from home. None of us had ever been on Zoom. We didn't even know what Zoom was. But we learned it. We learned it quickly.
I got in on a library board meeting for the first time, not right before we were sent home, but pretty close to before it. And there were all these talking heads as we were watching it in the meeting room because we were just having it projected out. And I realized as we were all sitting at these different tables in the meeting room, like so many feet apart from each other, and like watching all these people talking about deciding our fate.
One of the aspects of the pandemic that we were very concerned about from the beginning was documenting it. Kurt is a tremendous advocate for seeing the present as history. And so he was on top of that, and we have sort of a standing invitation to gather the stories of people who have lived through this difficult 20 months or so.
now we are being looked at as, hey, we the main ones that's got to get this building and make sure it's clean for the community, the staff also to come in and feel, and make them feel safe that it's all right, and making sure that we're gonna, keep it maintained and clean.
And like when I got there finally on the first day, it actually felt sort of like a business as usual thing, because coming back, seeing people I cared about. But I also worked with some really good people at the time there too. And it made it a lot easier to kind of talk about the current events and to talk about like what's going on behind the scenes of the library. And it felt almost relieving because you weren't just living in your own cave and seeing people momentarily. You were spending time with people and you were actually in a conversation again about like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is what the plan is.
You never can be prepared to deal with something like this. And I think that it was heartwarming to see so many people step up and be willing to change and adapt to how we do things to make sure that we could continue to do what we've always done in serving the public.
We in the Genealogy Center learned about Zoom very quickly and applied it very quickly in a way that would allowed us to stay in touch with our patrons for a long time without having them physically present. That I think we made some magic there.
Oh, that word public, definitely was on my mind because there's a lot of people who believe a lot of different things, and what I believed about anything was not even remotely on my mind. It was thinking about what is the policies that we're using at the library and how is that going to clash with people as they come to use this public service, and how to keep them happy and how to follow the policies and code of conduct.
I think there is an understanding with Bravery that's important, and that is that there's something bigger than oneself. If you're wrapped up in yourself, there's really no opportunity for bravery.
There's probably very few of us that haven't had moments over the last couple years where we've just reached a breaking point and needed time to decompress and reflect. And I think as an organization as a whole, we've been incredibly brave. We have reworked our entire way we do things. I'm constantly amazed with the programming to go, the virtual reference that's done, the Ask a Librarian, the programs we've still been able to put on, the curbside pickup, how fast that went through. And I'm just glad that we were able to play a part in what our library did and was able to do for the community during this time.
One of my favorite sayings about bravery is that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to continue on despite it. And I think that kind of is very true right now for what we kind of need to do when it comes to being brave, especially like in our profession, but also in our society where like there are things that are very uncertain, things that are very scary, things that are happening that we don't entirely understand and that we can't understand, both like internationally and even with people. And like the willingness though to keep talking and to keep like discovering and keep going on, I think that's really important for us to do, to keep showing up, as they say. And I think we need that more now than ever to keep trying and keep making attempts to converse, to understand, and to learn about one another.
I personally think bravery is, you know, this kind of resolve that you have that you're going to stay yourself or keep consistent with what you believe regardless of the circumstances.
I have a good team. I do. Like I said, I always tell myself and our team, you know, we make it happen. If it wasn't for us, you know, we are the first thing the community looks at is because they want to come into a building that is clean. They want to use a restroom that's clean. They want to be able to, you know, enjoy their building. And so when you hear people thank you for making the building look nice, that makes us feel good. So we know somebody's noticing.
If what we've managed now, we can get through anything. I mean, I had 2 granddaughters born 3.5 months apart during the pandemic. I didn't get to go to the hospital and see them. Thank God for FaceTime because it drove me crazy not to be able to go to the hospital during all of this. I can get through that. I can get through work. We're good to go. We're good to go.
The entire program is available online. I can send it to you. It's 5.5 hours. It's pretty long. You can skim through it. But again, I just want to thank you all. Thank you for giving us the staff day. We couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you to the team, Access Fort Wayne, events team, everyone who stepped up that day. Thank you personally to Susan and Lorraine for being my guiding lights in this organization and letting me show up every day and be me, even though I'm in a sailor costume. You know what I mean? I think I would have wore this even if it wasn't Halloween. But yeah, thank you. If you need anything, just let me know.
Thank you, James. Right. Wonderfully done. Well, that was quite moving. I had seen that before. That was played during the program. It was great. Tears you up a bit.
It does.
Let's go to committee reports. Capital Project, Marty?
All right, thank you, Ben. Yeah, I'm happy to report the Capital Projects Committee is moving forward with a lot of work. We had our last meeting was on October 20, where we had a discussion with Rick and June, who are consultants for the facilities master plan. Just a few things as we've given these updates. We are going to be coming up, I heard, to an executive committee meeting next month. I think we sent something out, and there's going to be a lot going on, so I'm encouraging all board members to come to those if at all possible. So just in the past here, we have had 2 more focus group meetings that we promised. They were held back on September 23 and September 29. That was a homeschool community and then a multicultural session. I understand those went well for our consultants to get some feedback. We have seen some preliminary system-wide facility recommendation options. There's adjustments, improvements in progress, so we're not ready to put those out there yet, but we're working on those. There's really just a lot of things that address the conditions, systems, services, and the needs of the existing branches, and then some work here at Maine as well. So we are one thing I wanted to emphasize, we're open and or basically we're committed to keeping an open process here for the facilities master plan. So as we move forward, as we get to recommendation options, what we're contemplating right now is preparing a public comment draft, which will include a presentation and summary report to inform all residents as clearly and accessibly as we can in a format people can understand, kind of what our options are, what we're thinking, and get feedback. We want to hear from people about what our options are right now and what we're thinking of. It's going to summarize condition, opportunities, and options and cost implications to renovate our system for the future. What we plan to do is to do some public feedback process after we send that out, and obviously we'll send that out after the whole board has had a chance to look at it. But we're looking for public feedback back in January and February of 2022. So that does push us back just a bit, that we're hoping to get the final facilities master plan scheduled to be presented in March of 2022 at this time. So we're hoping for, obviously, the board to have a chance to weigh in, everybody on the board to weigh in on it, and then get community feedback after we are able to put that together for the whole board. That's anything else, Ben or Ken?
I think you covered it well.
I think so too.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you, Marty, for leading this. Let's move to our Fmp Committee comments.
Really, there's no report this month. We are scheduled to meet on the 11th of November, and the focus on that will be the compensation and benefit plan. We're scheduled for 2 o'clock on the 11th.
Okay. Let's put that on our calendars. And let's move now to the highlight of your day,
Right.
the tax rate and the
That's
approval
right.
of budget.
That's right, yes. In your packet is Resolution 2021-3, and this is the only form that now has to be signed by the board. As a reminder, the 2022 budget is set for a 4.3% growth. That's the growth quotient that's dictated by the state. So our budget is going to be, our official budget will be $35,288,313. That's, like I said, a 4.28% increase. Some of the highlights on that, the compensation and benefits, that still accounts for 61% of that budget. And the capital budget is going up. I'm balancing that because with the activity in the facility master plan, there's still things that we have to do, but we don't want to do too much if we're going to be changing things significantly. The library materials are going up $266,000. That is significantly more in the electronic, but also in the print material area. I threw a couple of percentages in there that the material will account for approximately 13.7% of our budget, and Indiana standard is 8%, and the national average is 11%. So we're still very well above what the averages go for material. And so those are just a few of the highlights. Again, the official budget, which you'll be signing, is that $35 million one. Our internal budget is the balanced budget that takes into account tax cap losses. So that will be approximately about $2.2 million less on that. So those are kind of the highlights, but I'd be glad to answer any questions. Again, those will be filed with the gateway, and then the final tax rates and all will be set by the DLGF by the end of December.
I do have just a couple questions, more general than anything regarding the economy. And are cost of books going up? Like we've seen some things going up, or do we have any? Are there supply chain problems with getting books to the libraries?
Well,
at this point?
I think probably not the electronic materials. I mean, those are not as affected with the supply chain of deliveries and trucking and things like that. But like anything else, most of our items in this budget that would require materials, whether it's library materials or supplies, yeah, we're seeing all sorts of trouble with the supply chain. I mean, I think Kurt has reported before, the Roland Center, which had an original date of around spring of this year, we just couldn't get the technology chips available, so those have all had to be put off. But, yeah, materials, you know, I don't know, Kim, have we seen any increase in prices? I don't think at this point. I haven't heard anything drastically coming through. I think
Okay,
that's
good.
still, it's not subject as much to overseas material.
Okay.
I had, oh yeah, go ahead, Sharon.
I have a couple of questions for you. One, I see the parking revenue went down substantially. Is there any reason, supportive reason for that?
Really, it's due to the fact that we are giving a lot of, I don't want to say, it's always been our policy that library patrons get to park for free. I think one of the things when we had the new equipment put in, we're seeing that people are able to now scan in at the exit their library card, as opposed to having to come into the building, you know, in the past. I think we derive some of the revenue from people paying that maybe didn't need to in the past, and now they're making up for that. The other thing we're seeing, and I don't know whether it'll be affected in the next year, is the event parking. You know, we would derive a bit of revenue from the tin cap games at our lots and things like that. Those were nothing this year. There was no parking in there. So I'm being conservative. I hope it goes up. Same with building rents. That's another line that, you know, our meeting room rentals and things like that dropped off significantly. I hope they go up, but when I talked with the DLGF, we both agreed, go conservative on it, and if it comes in, great. You know, it'll just help offset the expenditures.
Okay.
And
The second one that I have, which has kind of been I know we've talked about it multiple times throughout meetings, various here and there, and it's on the landscape servicing. I see that one's gone up about 100,000 in the services there. Have we bid that out recently?
They're going, well, they were bid out this spring for the grass, the lawn trimming and things like that. The other thing that comes out of there is snow removal, and Darton's getting ready to do that this fall. We have that, so.
We've gotten competitive bids, or we've just gone from the same?
No, we get, he gets 3 quotes on all of that.
Thank you.
So, yeah. We like, I know it's especially when we've had the campus at Pontiac issues, that's the only one that isn't included in the overall bid, because we took even a lower bid for that one, so, as a separate vendor who bid it. So we're getting it as low as we can, but that's a service that, it's so dictated by what kind of winter or what kind of summer we have as far as growth and snowfall, et cetera.
David, I had a couple questions. Under the column total hourly wages, summer employee, time worked, it was my understanding that this year we've scaled back because of COVID, but we have the same dollar amount budgeted, 35,000, 35,000.
Right. We weren't, that 35,000 was set back in 2020 for 2021. That used to be $100,000, and we scaled that back down to 35, because there are still summer needs in the branches, in the main library, for workers that aren't part of the summer learning program. Most of our summer staff are paid by that Follinger summer learning grant.
I see, okay,
Yeah.
that answers that question. And then, under natural gas, we have the same dollar amount, 190,000. And I thought there's a shortage of natural gas and supply and so forth. Shouldn't that be higher?
When I project out the numbers, we seem to be where we should be on this and not going higher. If it does change, we'll have to make a budget adjustment, but right now, we are not seeing a huge increase in our billings. But it's all those lines, anything that is subject to price variation, we keep an eye on.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, and those are kind of part of, and matter of fact, will be coming up to that in a month or so is the budget adjustments. If there are lines that suddenly are beyond what the four I've identified in the thing that need additional funds, we can move it in there, but right now, it seems like it's behaving itself.
Okay, well, let's hope it continues to
I
have good
know.
behavior. All right, any other questions on the yes, Paul?
Just a quick one to kind of tag on to what you said. For the city, do you all, when you look at the budget, obviously, well, not more to it than this, but do they provide a actual expenditure number and then obviously annualizing that? Because it does make it a little bit difficult, in my opinion, to not, to just look at the budget from prior year compared to this year and not really know what was spent. In
Right.
terms of understanding where or where not you can
Right.
focus. So they do provide you that with the city?
Yeah, we get a kind of a, we get like a 3-year back. I think, I'm trying to read it in my head. I should know, I just saw it Tuesday, right? I believe we had 19, 20, 21 and the projected, and then the actuals down the side.
Be helpful, just a thought for the future.
You might look, in our Fmp meeting on the 24th, that's the report I give. I only included that one because that's the only part of the official budget that needs to go in. But this one, if you look back, it does have the prior year's expenditures, the projections, et cetera. Yeah, those are usually the ones we cover in Finance and Personnel Committee.
So this, okay, so this is actually the one that goes into Gateway? Literally,
Exactly,
okay, gotcha.
exactly. As opposed to, this one not only has that, but the internal budget, so that we're balanced, making, and, much more detail, like what you're looking for. But, yeah, the packet that might have been sent out on August 24th, you'd probably find the same information that makes up that 35, but expanded.
Is Gateway then updated at any point in arrears, so to speak, and shows what the actual expenditure? I'm just curious, frankly, but.
It doesn't have it in one spot. You'd have to look at, okay, here's the budget, but then you'd actually go to the annual report part of that gateway system, so which would actually do the expenditure, the actual expenditures. I'm not sure if they have multi-year reports in there. They're modifying it all the time. I mean, it's their primary transparency space, so I can't imagine they aren't working on that.
All right, that was my only question.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the budget? Well, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the Resolution 2021-3, Resolution for Appropriation and Tax Rates, Budget Form 4.
So moved.
Thank you, Sharon.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Any further discussion or comment? If not, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Okay.
I'm going to walk this one around because this is one that also needs everyone's signature.
Okay, we have the next item, approval of holidays and closures for 2022.
Yes, Lorraine, do you want to come up to the table?
Just had to sign on it.
Good afternoon. So with the addition of the new federal holiday, if you look at the holiday schedule for 2022, we are asking to request the addition of Juneteenth as a floating holiday. So it would be, staff could take that day as a holiday or use another day between June 20th and October 31st as a floating holiday. That's the only change that we've done to this schedule, but I want to preface that we may have to come back in a couple months to ask for a staff development day closing. We just don't have that date picked yet. Susan said in the past, we've done it in August, we did it in October of this year, so there may be one more additional request, but the only major change on this is asking for Juneteenth to be a floating holiday.
Okay, any questions on,
Juneteenth is a federal holiday now, is it not?
yeah?
It is.
Correct. Yep.
No questions?
Well,
Okay.
I guess my question is making sure I understand this right. This is when it says open, but then it reflects the holiday flex, that the building, our buildings are open on those days.
Absolutely.
And so we just give it as a floating holiday for all of those holidays.
Correct.
I guess I don't remember it being laid out this way in the past, but, okay, just want to make sure I understood that.
Yep, you are correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the holidays and closures for 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, thank you. Any further discussion?
I do have one question, I'm sorry, I was trying to find it real quick, one here. So for all of the floating holidays, they have to be used by October 31st,
Correct.
and the time span reduces as you get that holiday and beyond? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Sure. Okay, no other comments or questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. And that passes, and thank you, Lorraine.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Now we move to our calendar for board meetings for next year.
Yes, a lot of housekeeping duties for this board meeting. So the October meeting is when you generally set your board meeting schedule for the upcoming year. Looking at the calendar, these would be the dates for the meetings if we continue on the fourth Thursday of the month, with a slight change during November and December due to the holidays. I do know that the board likes to get out to the branches and to DeSalle to have meetings, and we love that as well. And we figured that we could plug that in later when we consult with the various libraries about their meeting room schedules. But tonight, we were hoping to get the dates confirmed.
Okay. Questions on the dates and the concept? Well,
Move to accept.
I'll second.
thank you so much. Any discussion? None? All in favor, aye. Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Thank you. Okay. Our computer use and internet access policy.
Another housekeeping item. So annually, the board needs to review our internet policy due to state library requirements, so we can qualify for things like the E-rate. So attached is our existing policy on computer resources and internet acceptable use. It was last approved in October 2020, and our staff did review it, and we are not recommending any changes to the existing policy at this time.
So if it continues, do we need to have a motion to have it continue, or
I
is
think
it
we,
This is an annual thing.
I think we
have to
normally
do.
have.
annual?
yeah.
Right.
All right, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the adoption of policy on computer use and internet access.
So moved.
And a second, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay? All right. Now we have our circulation policy and schedule of fines and fees.
Yes, so another annual duty for the board where we do need for state requirements to review the circulation schedule and schedule of fines and fees. You're going to find a lot of cleanup language in here, and Mike Ashby is here, our user experience manager. He has provided this executive summary of the changes. I can go through that, and then if you have any specific questions, Mike and I would be happy to answer it. As the circulation schedule, we added language to clarify the proof of residency piece. We clarified that the suspension of borrowing privileges is based on fines. Based on fines is limited to physical materials because there are no fines for electronic materials. We removed express as a loan period and removed references to it in the document because we are no longer using express collections. We are changing the lending period of magazines from 21 days to 7 days. Regarding our fines and fees, we remove references to express materials because we are removing that category. We're removing canvas as our new tote bags are no longer canvas. We remove fees for plastic bags. We are not charging for those. We removed multiple legal packets that were only utilized by our Business Science and Technology Department at Maine. That is no longer being produced. We are reducing the cost of flash drives from $5 to $2 because we found a less expensive vendor to provide us with flash drives. And we are also changing the cost of printing for a uniform 10 cents a copy, whether it is black and white or color. and that is to simplify the experience of our patrons and for our staff, and also it more accurately reflects the current cost of printing. And that was a lot, I know. We're happy to answer questions.
Any questions on this exciting topic?
I can't remember when it was, but it was fairly recently. I think in the Sunday Journal Gazette, I saw an article about New York and their elimination of fines.
Correct.
When do you anticipate us having that conversation? I mean, it seems like this might be a good, not that I'm trying to add to a pretty heavy agenda, but on doing this on an annual basis, seems like an opportune time to have that conversation or not.
I hope to and plan to have a proposal within the coming months. There was a lot of cleanup language here that I wanted to address tonight. I am still working on a proposal that I plan to bring to you either in November and December. Doing some research on libraries who have already gone fine-free and what their experiences has been regarding getting their materials back.
Good point and good follow-up. Okay, any other questions on circulation schedule or schedule of fines and fees?
I had a question on the proof of residency piece. And I was trying to find it here, but what's the limit? I noticed that we limited it down to 6 items at one time. How long can people borrow 6 items at a time before the proof of residency or lack of proof of residency runs out? I don't know how to say that, how it runs out.
I'm going to turn it over to our subject matter expert here.
There's no difference in loan periods. It's just, and typically the proof of residency is only those people that don't have their ID, doesn't show their current address, or they don't have a piece of mail. And within 2 weeks, they receive something in the mail and they can bring back, or if they come in the next day. So there's no change in, if it's a book, it's still 3 weeks. If it's a movie, it's a 7-day period.
Okay, I guess for me it was the bullet point under the circulation schedule where it says, we also removed the limitation to books and magazines, so going forward would just be 6 items at a time until proof of residency is received.
So before, you could only check out books or magazines.
Okay.
Going forward, they'd be able to check out books, magazines, DVDs,
Okay.
video games.
So
We're
how
adding
long, what's that time period for them to have to provide residency to get more without that limitation on it, or guess? I guess my question is can somebody be a perpetual user of the library without showing residency?
No.
Sorry, there.
Great clarification. If the new subscription status expires after 3 months. So 3 months would be the longest that they would go. At 3 months, they would automatically stop them from borrowing anything.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Is the new city ID, is that acceptable in this?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion that we approve the revision of circulation policy and schedule of fines and fees.
So moved.
And a second? Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed by nay? That passes.
Thank you.
Item
Thank you, Mike.
Item 13 on our agenda, the approval of recommendation printing, scanning, and payment services. We'll have that on hold because there's more information to provide at the next meeting. So let's move now to the resolution to authorize the executive director to sign Indiana State Library contract to receive the Arpa grant funds, which is pretty good.
Yes, thank you so much. So tonight, I am asking for your approval to enter into a contract with the Indiana State Library to accept an ARPA grant, pandemic relief grant of $21,142.50. This would be to fund the partial purchase of a second outreach vehicle. We originally asked for $61,000 that would have funded the entire purchase. However, as you can see from the letter I received from the state library, they had $3.47 million to give, and they had requests totaling over $7 million. So everybody had to take a little cut. You saw last month a presentation from our Library at Home group about the phenomenal work that they do. And we have been planning to purchase a second outreach vehicle in order to expand the service. Right now, when our existing vehicle's out on the road, the other staff member sometimes has to use his or her own personal vehicle to do the deliveries. So we do have money in our capital budget to fund the expense for this vehicle. We would just need a motion from you, please, to accept the $21,142.50 to go toward the purchase of the second vehicle.
I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second?
I'll take the second.
You'll take a second. On discussion, I have a comment, but does anyone have any questions or comments?
I do a little bit, a lot of bit, not a little bit. You kind of answered it a little bit for me because I was wondering how would we make up the additional $40,000 in costs, but not only the $40,000 to purchase the vehicle, but the insurance and all that goes along with it. And so you said we had it in our capital budget?
Correct.
Are we,
The remaining purchase costs have already put into our capital budget this year, so it can be purchased. The ongoing insurance, the vehicle would be added to our insurance line in our general fund.
and that is not going to have a negative impact on the capital campaign that we're working on for our buildings?
The 40,000 in there, no. That's part of the $2 million annual capital budget that I put together anyway for the general maintenance, upkeep, and the replacement of vehicles currently that are in there.
Okay, so are we foregoing purchasing a replacement vehicle that we would have normally in order to add this to it?
No, we didn't have a vehicle scheduled for this year.
Okay,
So
great.
we had it in there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good question. Any other questions? I have one. I can understand that there were more requests than dollars available, but the state received $3.47 million, and we got 21,000 bucks. What happened here? Do we have a rationale as to why they didn't grant us the whole item? Because left on the table after ours is some $3 million plus dollars.
My understanding from what I heard from the state library and also just chatter from all the other library directors is that no one got exactly what they asked for. Yeah, everybody took a bit of a cut from what they originally asked for.
Any idea how much the
Indianapolis
Library
got 3 million.
But they requested all of it.
That's right. All right, well,
I guess to that point, did you review or anybody review the other awardees? I guess part of my sense would be that there probably are some systems within Indiana that would have used this for larger operating gaps. I would assume that it was really meant to cover COVID expenses, things along those lines, and related gaps to operating during that time.
And expansion of services based on COVID restrictions.
Right. So, I mean, from that standpoint, that's how ours kind of falls in there because of our expansion on that side of it. But we were blessed to be able to get through it, I guess, from that standpoint. Do we know, are there other systems that use this money for operating gaps and things along those lines? Or, just my sense, but.
It's sort of all over the place from what I'm hearing from other directors. Several were planning on using it for some kind of outreach vehicle. Several were using it to supplement their e-resource collection. We have a generous collections budget. We are very fortunate. Some libraries don't, so they were using it to augment that.
Okay.
I would be interested in seeing what the other libraries were awarded.
I can find that out.
just to put some historical perspective on this, historically, Indianapolis and Marion County gets everything. And then we, whether it be from cities and towns and whatever, and then we get what's left. So that's sort of the understory here. Not that we're going to protest in front of the governor's office, but what the hell. All right, well, let's authorize our executive director to sign this thing. I'll have a motion to that effect. Thank you, Sharon. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay, and we get our 21,000. All right, good. Now for our director's report.
I submitted a written report, just a few highlights. October is Family History Month, and Kurt and his team have definitely shown, they shine every month, but they particularly shine in October. They've had a very successful month of programming. Just in the first 2 weeks of Family History Month alone, they presented 10 virtual programs attended by over 1,600 people. And I believe just this week, he and the Genealogy Center hosted one of our very first returning tour bus groups, correct, Kurt? They came in from Michigan?
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
very exciting. And also, I think this was obvious, but today is our library-wide staff employee Halloween costume contest. One of the many ways that our Human Resources Department, under Lorraine's new leadership, continues to look for new ways to support employee engagement. Next month, ACPL staff who are military veterans will be honored with special recognition through in-house communication and social media as another form of employee engagement. So look for that. And if you would like to see photos of all of the Halloween costumes from today, from all of our locations, hop on our Facebook page. I believe it will be posted probably tomorrow, or I'm looking at Stephanie, tomorrow or Saturday, and you can see all of them in their glory.
Did you stuff the ballot box for James or not?
I may be stuffing it for the Golden Girls. Dave's team, all 4 Golden Girls, and it's
I
classic.
did ask him that question, Paul, and he said that because he works in HR, he's not qualified to win. So,
There you go.
I'd like to
Okay.
see the Golden Girls.
Any questions on the director's report?
I do have a question, Susan, because
Yeah.
I was interested, and I saw, and I think I've seen this before, but the diversity team that you're
Yeah.
creating, can you kind of fill us in a little bit more on the details of who's on that and what are their plans moving forward?
I absolutely can, because we had our very first meeting yesterday. So good timing. So it is a 10-member group, and they represent, I could send you a list of names, but they represent various departments and experiences and backgrounds. Lorraine and I are the senior staff liaisons. We are not the chairs, and we were very intentional about that because we want this really to be employee-driven. And we had our first meeting yesterday. Helen is on the team.
Okay.
And Donnie from our event staff is on the team as well. And we yesterday talked about what we thought our top-of-mind initiatives would be, and some of the ideas that we are researching would include supporting some language learning for our staff who would like to learn Spanish and other languages to better serve our patrons in our community, on how we can support them in doing that. We are also looking at forming support peer groups for our employees of color and our LGBTQ employees to network with one another and support one another. We are also sharing ways to let our staff know about different training opportunities, different podcasts, different reading resources that they can experience to learn more about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then work on scheduling some what we call talkbacks or discussion groups afterwards, so we as an employee group can exchange ideas and support one another. One of the recurring themes was that these can be challenging issues to talk about, but we need to talk about them, and we as a library need to create avenues and forums and places for our staff to feel safe and supported and talk about these issues.
Is there anything you think the board should be doing or at this point, or just wait to hear back from you and see if there's any recommendations that would come to our level?
I think it's a little too early for a formal recommendation, but I am confident that in the coming months, we will be coming to you with some reports on what we're doing and some ideas on how that work can be supported.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Okay, let's move to item 16, our COVID-19 response update.
You may have seen this in the media, but we are thrilled to announce that we will be bringing back in-person indoor programs starting next week. We are getting a lot of community excitement about that. We are still continuing virtual programs because they have been exceptionally popular, and we are having a reach across the globe, literally, for those, so we want to keep that up. But we also know that people are really hungering for that in-person experience, and we're happy to bring it back to them. We've been lucky these past few months to have a good run of outdoor programs. October was so temperate that we were able to extend particularly children's story times outside for longer than we thought. And that's been very popular, but as we head into November, we know it's time to bring them back indoors, and we're happy to do it. I also wanted to share that Super Shots was here in late September and early October to do a series of immunization clinics. They offer both the COVID-19 vaccine and the flu vaccine. And total, 18 people received COVID-19 vaccinations at an Allen County Public Library facility, and they also administered 124 doses of the flu vaccine.
Good, good use of facilities.
They were exceptionally impressed with our facilities.
Okay. Questions on that part of your report? All right, let's move into new business. Are there any items of new business that you wish to bring before the body? There are no old items either. So now we turn to public comment. I don't see if anyone's signed in, but is there anyone here from the public that would like to comment? Okay. Well, all that being said, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Second? We are adjourned. Thank you.
3:59.